Everyone thought I was the quiet one, the one who kept her head down, avoided drama, and never caused a scene. And for most of my life, that was true. I stayed in the background, letting others shine, especially my sister, Ava. But people forget something about quiet girls. We see everything. So when Ava slipped that stolen jewelry into my suitcase, when she smiled while I was pulled away by airport security like some criminal, she thought I'd stay silent again. She didn't know I was the one who paid for the entire luxury vacation. Every hotel, every flight, every tour, all of it booked in my name. And she had no idea that within the next hour, I'd cancel everything. I wasn't the quiet one anymore. I was the storm. I'm Claire, and I'm 28 years old. For years, I've been the quiet one in the family. The dependable daughter. The one who never asks for much. My younger sister, Ava, was always the star, loud, dramatic, and spoiled by our parents. No matter how selfish she acted, they treated her like royalty. So when I got a big bonus at work, I decided to do something nice. I wanted to surprise my family with a dream vacation to Italy. I booked first-class plane tickets, 5-star hotels, guided tours, everything. It cost a lot, but I didn't care. I wanted us to have a fresh start. The funny part? I never told them it was me who paid. I let them believe our parents got a deal through my dad's job. They looked so proud, and I didn't want to ruin the moment. I just wanted everyone to be happy. We packed our bags and headed to the airport full of excitement. I had all the booking confirmations on my phone. Ava was dressed like an Instagram model, taking selfies every 2 minutes. My parents were already planning what wine to try in Rome. I thought this trip would bring us closer. I thought maybe, for once, they would see me, really see me. But just when we reached the security checkpoint, everything went horribly wrong. A stern voice called out, "Miss Claire Matthews, please step aside and follow us." Confused, I obeyed. My family stared, confused but silent. I didn't know what was happening, but within minutes, I'd be standing in a small room, staring at stolen jewelry pulled from my suitcase. And I had no idea that my own sister had set me up. The room they took me to was cold and quiet. 2 security officers stood across from me, serious and unreadable. My suitcase was open on the table between us, and right on top of my neatly folded clothes was something I had never seen before, a small black pouch full of expensive-looking jewelry. Necklaces. Rings. A gold bracelet. "This was found in your luggage," one officer said. "It matches the description of items reported stolen this morning from a passenger checking into a nearby hotel." My heart dropped. "I didn't pack that," I said quickly. "That's not mine." The officers looked at each other. One of them leaned forward and asked, "Did anyone else have access to your suitcase?" I hesitated. Ava had walked into my room earlier that morning while I was in the shower. She said she was borrowing my hairbrush. At the time, I didn't think twice. But now, "Yes," I finally said. "My sister." For a few minutes. They noted it down. I begged them to check the airport security footage, but they said it would take time. For now, they had to hold me back from boarding. Meanwhile, my family waited at the gate, confused, annoyed, and probably blaming me. I imagined Ava telling them she was shocked too. That fake innocent voice she always used. I sat there alone, humiliated and shaking. My vacation, the one I paid for, was ruined before it even began. But deep down, something in me changed. If she really did this to me, then I wasn't going to stay silent anymore. She had no idea what I was capable of. About an hour later, the security officer returned with a small tablet in his hand. He didn't say much, just nodded at me and placed it on the table. "We pulled the hallway footage from this morning," he said. "Take a look." I leaned in. The video was clear. There I was, stepping out of my hotel room in a rush, probably to grab breakfast. Then, just a few minutes later, Ava appeared on the screen. She looked around nervously before slipping into my room with something in her hand. The camera didn't show what happened inside the room. But a minute later, she walked out empty-handed. My stomach turned. "Is that your sister?" the officer asked. I nodded, my throat dry. "Yes, that's her." The officers exchanged a quick glance. "That's enough for us to release you," one of them said. "We'll question her next." They uncuffed me and handed me back my passport and boarding pass. As I stood up, I felt dizzy from relief and anger all at once. Ava had framed me, her own sister, on a trip that I paid for. I walked out of that room with my head held high, even though my hands were still trembling. At the gate, my parents rushed over, full of questions. Ava stood behind them, acting concerned. Her eyes widened when she saw me free. "You're okay?" she asked softly. I looked straight at her and said, "For now." She blinked, confused. But I was already opening the airline app on my phone. She had no idea the vacation she thought she'd enjoy was about to disappear. Because every hotel room, every tour, every reservation was booked in my name. And I was done playing nice. I stepped aside from the gate, pretending to scroll through my phone calmly, but inside, my heart was pounding. I opened my travel folder, the one Ava never knew about. All the bookings were under my name. Hotels, airport transfers, city tours, even their return flights. I had paid for it all using my account and travel card. I tapped the hotel reservation first. Cancelled. Then the tour package in Rome. Cancelled. Private driver?
Gone.
Return flights? Voided. With every confirmation of cancellation, I felt like I was finally taking back control. Ava was chatting and laughing with my parents, pretending like nothing had happened. She probably thought I was too weak to do anything, that I'd keep the peace like always. But not this time. Not after she nearly got me arrested. A few minutes later, a notification popped up on my phone. "Dear Claire, your family travel group has been successfully cancelled. Refunds are being processed to your account."
Perfect.
I walked back toward them. Ava turned and smiled at me, that fake little smirk she always used when she thought she won. "Ready to board?" she asked sweetly. I tilted my head. "Actually, no. The vacation's off." My mom frowned. "What are you talking about?" I showed them the screen. All the bookings were in my name. I paid for everything. And I just canceled it all. Their mouths dropped. Ava's face drained of color. You can't do that," she snapped. "I just did." I replied coldly. "I won't be sharing a trip with someone who tried to get me arrested." For once, she was speechless. And that silence? It was the best part of the whole trip. The tension at the airport was so thick, it felt like time had stopped. My mom stared at me in disbelief. My dad looked from me to Ava, confused and irritated. And Ava, she was fuming. "You're overreacting," she hissed, stepping closer to me. "You don't even have proof I did anything." I held up my phone again. "Actually, I do. Security showed me the footage. You were caught entering my hotel room with something in your hand. Moments later, stolen jewelry shows up in my luggage. Want to try explaining that again?" Her mouth opened, then closed. No comeback. No clever excuse. My dad finally spoke.
Wait.
"Are you saying Ava framed you?" I nodded. "She could have ruined my life. I could have been jailed, deported, my entire career gone." My mother shook her head. "That can't be true." "Ava wouldn't." "She would," I interrupted. "And she did." And then I dropped the final truth. "And just so you know, this whole vacation, the tickets, the hotel, the luxury dinners you were all so proud of, I paid for every single thing. Not Dad. Not some company perk.
Me.
From my own savings." Silence. You could see the shock on their faces. Not just because of what Ava did, but because they had never imagined that I could be capable of something so generous. Or so bold. "You should all find your own way home," I said quietly. "Your return flights are canceled too." And with that, I picked up my bag and walked away. I didn't look back. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't just the quiet one. I was the one in control. By the time I landed back home, the messages started flooding in. First from my mom. "Claire, this is serious. Please call me." Then from my dad. "We need to talk about what happened. We're at the embassy. Do you really have all the booking receipts?" And finally, from Ava herself. "You're seriously messed up. You embarrassed the whole family. Grow up, Claire." I didn't reply to any of them. I just kept walking, my suitcase rolling behind me, feeling lighter than it had in years. 2 days later, I got a call from the hotel manager in Rome. "Miss Claire, we wanted to confirm your refund was successful. Also, there's something else."
He paused.
"We had a complaint from another guest about a missing bracelet. Security reviewed more footage, and your sister was seen near their room too. We've passed the footage to the authorities." I thanked him and hung up. So it wasn't just me. Ava had been stealing from strangers too. The next morning, a police officer came to my apartment to collect my statement. I handed over the video clip Marco had shown me and all the booking details that proved the trip was in my name. Ava thought she was clever. She thought framing me would be the final twist.
But now?
She was the one facing international theft charges. And the best part? She had to sit at the embassy, broke and panicked, with no hotel, no flight, and no sister willing to bail her out. It's funny how quickly karma catches up. A week passed. The news spread quietly among our relatives. No dramatic headlines, no screaming matches, just hushed phone calls and awkward silence. My parents eventually came back on their own, exhausted and distant. Ava, however, remained in Italy a little longer, under legal supervision. I didn't visit. I didn't write. One afternoon, I got a formal letter in the mail, a request from Ava's lawyer asking if I would consider dropping the charges in exchange for an apology and a signed agreement of no contact. I read it once, then again, and laughed softly. She didn't want forgiveness. She wanted a shortcut. I didn't reply. Instead, I used that moment to make a decision I'd been avoiding for years. I moved out of the city. I found a cozy little apartment by the coast, quiet, bright, and completely mine. I also started writing again, something I had put on hold during years of family chaos. I share my story online under a different name, not for revenge, but for peace. To my surprise, it went viral. People from all over the world reached out, strangers who knew what it felt like to be betrayed by their own. My inbox overflowed with support. And one message stood out. "You're not weak. You're just finally choosing yourself. Keep going." And I did. A few months later, I heard Ava was back in the US, but she had to complete community service and pay restitution to the victims. Her name was quietly removed from a few family invites. My parents never brought up the trip again. I didn't need their apology. I had already won the one thing they never gave me, my freedom. And this time, no one could take it away.